For the main characteristic of informal employment, we can mention easily. Firstly, the use of authority. Informal employment use violence. Uses also the forced labor and child labor. Secondly, the law of income. The law of income in informal employment is low and unstable. But sometimes we can find some activities, I mean informal activities, where the income is more higher than the formal activities. So that can promote people to work in informal employment, then and switch from the formal to the informal one. Thirdly, and the most climatic, foremost characteristic of the informal employment is the precariousness of employment, and it is because the low capital investment. For the main causes, the driving reasons of informality around the world, we can mention firstly, and it's the first one, poverty and recession. Poverty and recession promotes people to work in informality, and we can also mention the insufficient wages, the disloyal competition. So my problematic is really about the impact of informal employment in social security, and how to estimate this impact and the size of informality. So in order to answer this problematic, I have made four questions. The first one, what do we mean by informality? And secondly, what are the real causes and the driving reasons of informality? Third one is, what is the intensity and the size, the magnitude of informality around the world, and more especially in Algeria, and what is impact on social security equilibrium? And finally, are the measures and the incentive schemes taken by our government, and more especially by our ministry, sufficient, or it is necessary to take other measures? So in order to respond to these different questions, I have made three hypotheses. The first one, the informal employment can participate in the development growth. Secondly, the social security system, the social security contribution is one of the most causes of informality in Algeria, And thirdly, actions of sensitization, awareness campaign, can cope with the extensibility of this phenomenon. So, main plan is scheduled and divided into two chapters. The first one, and after general introduction, I have devoted the chapter 1 to some literature review on informal employment. The chapter 2 is devoted to some literature on social security systems, and the third one is a statistical estimate of informal employment in Algeria. And I will conclude and bring to close my presentation with general conclusion, and give you some recommendations. Okay. For the surveillance method, yes, I have used two methods. Sampling method, surveillance method, and the second is about the modeling method. I use the mimic model. For the surveillance methods, I have this table which shows that the informality, these statistics are provided by class and Cosmos funds, which shows clearly that informality, the percentage of informality in Algeria, is varying about 39%. Okay, let's take a look at this evolution, at this graphic picture, which can see easily that is an increasing over the time from 2006 to 2016. But after 2015, there is a decreasing. It is this decreasing may be explained by the different measures, different incentives schemes taken by our government, and more especially by our ministry in order, yes, in order to capture and to attract workers and to convince them in order to come to declare its activities and their employees. Okay. For the repartition of social security losses about funds and more especially CNR's funds. Yes, the losses will be higher than 25 billion Milas Argentina for the categories of employers and independent. But for the salaries in all categories, the losses may be estimated about 22 milliards Argentina. The part of the CNR funds is about 4 milliards Argentina monthly. Okay. For the second methods, I mean the measurement is the mimic model. The mimic model, yes, the mimic model is a statistical model which estimates the informal employment. This model is composed from two equations, sectoral equations and measurement 1. The sectoral equations is like this, and the measurement equations is written like this. This chapter, this picture is used so greatly the mimic model. This is the X is what we call the causal variable of the informality. The variable, latent variable mu and u are the indicators variables. What we should I should mention that the mimic model is a special case of what we call simultaneous equations model. Why? Because in simultaneous equations model, the specification of the model, I mean the estimation, requires writing multiple equations through several variables in these equations. Okay. I have estimated the mimic 8, 1, 2. I mean 8 causal variables, 1 latent variables, and 2 indicators variables. I have used what we call least squares method. I have taken into account the maximum of variables which can give a rise to informality. I have estimated these equations. I have tested each coefficient using, as you know, t-statistics, t-student statistics, and double master statistics in order to avoid what we call multi-collinearity bias, and as required the coefficient of determination. After that, I have eliminated all indicators, all variables which are not significant. And we have had this estimation of the 4, 1, 2. 4 causal variables, 1 latent variables, and 2 indicators variables. This is the best mimic model I have tested. Is the statistics each coefficient is significant, and the F statistics of Fisher, what we